Mr. David Coleman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me today.
It's amazing to get somebody, and I'm not just trying to be nice, but getting somebody of your caliber, I am genuinely excited to talk with you. I know who you are. I know how much you know about real estate, but just to give the listeners a sense of who you are, what you do, where you work, give us the David Coleman bio real quick.
Thank you. I'm not exactly sure what my caliber is, but thank you for that introduction. Um, so yeah, I am a Allentown native in Pennsylvania. I am a second generation broker owner of a Remax franchise. I've been in the business since the very end of 2002, and was fortunate enough to join my mom's company at the time, who founded Remax back in 1984. Now, when I say founded Remax, she brought Remax to our area. We live in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, which is predominantly Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton is the main cities. And so she started this franchise back in '84 with four partners. It was back at a time where Remax was pretty much I wouldn't say a no name, but in this area, pretty much a no name. And, they ventured out, they left a lot of security behind and went down this path. And, people ultimately followed and joined. And I was very, very fortunate and humble enough to be able to take over this operation back in 2008. And then from that point, we had some different ideas and some business ideas that we wanted to employ. We merged our operation with a couple other franchises. We grew in size significantly. We did some development projects where we are now in our current building for Allentown. But so we have two offices, one in Lehigh County, one in Northampton County. We have about 105 agents between the two offices. So, and we're very
105.
urgent. Yeah,
That's herding cats for sure.
it's a great. It is really, we're very fortunate. It's a great group of people, and yes, it is very much. The independent mindset runs rampant. Absolutely. So.
Okay, so you just did the perfect segue for me into the one of the very first questions I have is you have such a rich and wide purview, both in time and of people. You have a very wide aperture, you have a wide view of the business, and there's just been so much going on.
Or
Um,
has. I haven't
you
heard
know,
that.
yeah, really, surprise, right? Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Um, is there something that you see currently because the specific thing I wanted to hone in on is that, you are a part of a franchise machine, and so we have these roll-ups and these consolidations going on, and from my perspective, I see, these consolidative efforts happening, the machines growing bigger, and so I see, really like to use a $5, like a bifurcation or a divide,
Mm,
there are
mm,
there are absolutely people in the franchisee models, and it seems like, and this is where I want you to correct me
mm.
where I'm wrong, but it seems like what I'm witnessing from the low level agent looking up, it seems like what I'm witnessing is a growth at all costs or a doubling down on identity. And I've been lucky enough to sit in and listen to some of your meetings, and I know you have such a good, you have a really delightful way of expressing your opinion, but not to overstep the independent nature of every business running, these agents are running their own businesses, but when we see these consolidative efforts going on, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, "Okay, you're growing at all costs." Is that like, I don't see you guys doing that. If anything, I would say you're doubling down on understanding who you serve and what kind of agent is right
Yeah.
for your office. How do you balance the 2, David, with this in this new era? How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I think ultimately, when you're sitting on the other side of the desk, in a world where all you really kinda hear about out there is that brokerage models are very thin, and, profit margins are very low, and what ends up happening in this world, we have a very, very in my opinion, we have a very saturated profession, and it comes with such a level of expertise amongst the realtor pool. And what ends up happening, and then I think is indicative in most brokerages is the fact that brokers, they get scared, right? They're concerned about profit margins, and when they get concerned about the money, right? If we are just focusing on money, then I think ultimately we lose on quality because you're willing to open your door and you're willing to take people that you might not normally take. I think I can say personally, I would rather work on much, much lower profit margins to always be able to take on the right agent. And the right agent isn't always the agent that's putting up 10 and $20 million in volume. The right agent is going to be somebody that's going to be a real proponent of your operation, a real cheerleader of the industry, somebody that out there that, okay, maybe they're only doing 8, 10, 12 deals a year, but they are doing it in a way that sets themselves apart, that differentiates them, that makes them look more professional, sends the right message. All brokers want to grow. All brokers want to have a bigger operation, and everybody, has a right to profit. Profit is what keeps the lights on and keeps you, a place where you can be employed. But it can't be the root cause. The root cause has to be growing with the right people. And if you focus on growing with the right people, it attracts more right people. We probably don't grow near as fast or have any type of explosive growth as that a lot of brokerages might see. Could I be 150, 175, or a 200 person office if we, just allowed anybody to come into the door? And, think about it. There's not really too many industries where somebody walks in your front door, asked to meet with the broker, and said, "Hey, I've heard about your operation, and I'd like to join here. So just tell me which desk to go sit at." And I will tell you that most brokerages, if you have a license and can fog a mirror, you probably have a job. And I never wanted it to be that way. I wanted it to always be something more. So that's kind of the premise that we've always stood by.
Yeah.
So, and as a result, yes, we have grown organically a little bit slower than probably most brokerages would.
You wouldn't it doesn't seem as if you're out there beating the drum. It seems like people show up at your door, out of your reputation. Am I wrong about
Well, I think we've been pretty fortunate, and I will say that it's not because we are good recruiters, because I'm a horrible recruiter. I think we're very good though at building relationships with people and building relationships more so with the people that are currently inside our four walls. And our focus on that, our focus on our retention, our focus on the people that are helping us be successful in our marketplace, that's what's been helping our growth because they see that inside these four walls they feel a very special place. They feel that it's helped put significant amount of money in their pocket over the years, that they've been able to grow both personally, both professionally. It's a rewarding place. Listen, you can go hang a license anywhere, but your career should mean something to you at the end of it. And, that's the fortunate thing that I think we see here is that when they come, they stay and they stay a very long time and they want other people that they feel are like-minded professionals to share in that. So we're very fortunate that they bring people to us often. that we can vet and decide if that makes sense for the rest of the group. But I would say it's certainly not because of our efforts of being good recruiters, because we are not that.
So you keep on saying we, and I know your leadership team, but what are you if there was a broker out there listening and they're listening to you talk and they think, yeah, I'm quality over quantity. I would prefer not to recruit if I could help it. It would be great. Why don't you describe a little bit about your leadership team and how you guys work so that retention and retention happens, the reputation happens, and then the people are attracted towards your firm? Could you talk a little bit about maybe how you guys approach that or what your leadership team looks like, who does what, how
Mhm.
that happens?
So, unlike a lot of the brokerage models that you see today, I think, and if you look at statistical averages of let's call it a brokerage expense models, right, where there's a certain percentage that should be allocated towards staff and towards brick and mortar and marketing. But I'd say we probably definitely do not follow the typical mold. And I would say that we are a very staff heavy company. And I say that, and we do that because we look at that as we find that we have a greater retention strength as a result of having a lot more staff available for our people. I think it's so important to be showing up. I mean, I know we live in an industry in a world that is always going to be telecommutery. And let's face it, if you're in the office 9 to 5 every day, you're not selling a whole lot of real estate. But at the same time, showing up every day is half the battle. And, having people on staff. And I mean, agents they're amazing people, but they also, as you said, right, they're their own companies, right? They're their own CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, and they don't always treat themselves like a business. And they come and go. Some like to work at night, some like to work in the morning, some like to just go on vacation, and they don't have to tell anybody, and it's a tremendous, tremendous power and strength that comes with being an independent contractor. At the same time, you live and die by that same mentality. And we have a saying around here that if agents treated themselves as if they were a W-2 employee, not an independent contractor, and they took the mindset of this is my job, and my job requirement every day is I have to do X and Y and Z, and that's my prospecting and working on my business in the morning and working in my business in the afternoon or vice versa, but treating it truly like a business and an employee, and that they were up for reviews every quarter, and they had to live and die by that type of a system. But we love the freedom that comes with this job. And sometimes that freedom gets the best of us. So we know how busy they are. And we also want them to understand, everybody, you always hear everybody talk about, do you really understand your ABCs? And I think agents get very, very confused with the alphabet. And I think they can spend hours and hours in time of doing B and C related tasks when we could have staff members assisting you with that so that you can spend time with your primaries, with your A's, out there meeting people, pressing flesh, showing property, writing contracts, all the things that are leading to putting money on the table. I'm not saying that those other things are not important, but are they the highest priority task that you can be doing? Can you be leveraging that in a way? And even if that costs a little bit more, your time is just so valuable. So our staff, we try to do absolutely everything we can to help an agent in their day to day so that they can be out there hunting every day. So
Yeah.
our leadership model really kind of stems from that fact, right? We want people to be out there on the pointy edge of the spear and out there, fighting the good fight every day so that we can assist them and do what they need to do to be able to employ them to go out there and do that.
So what does that look like practically? Like, can you give listeners a sense of what departments do you guys have? How many are on your leadership staff? How many, like, is it one agent? How many agents like per or how much staff is supporting, you get what I
So,
mean, the
yeah.
ratio.
So we're approximately 1 for 10, right? We have 1 staff
Okay.
member per 10 agents, which is interesting because 'cause we're being acquired by an organization that brags about having 1 staff member per 94 agents, which we can talk.
Right.
Well, I'm sure we'll get into that conversation at some point.
Well,
But,
let's go, my friend.
yeah, but so, yeah, we have about 1 per 10, and, we
Okay.
have it in pretty much every range. We have, people in the financial department. We have, multiple administrative assistants. We have a massive marketing, team, that includes 2 staff members that are just solely dedicated to production services. So, they are our own in-house W-2 employees that we go out and do all the photo shoots, video tours. Um, we have 3D cameras. We do the drone photographs. I mean, they are the 2 of the busiest guys in the company, believe it or not. And we started it really again. Does it does it make a ton of money? No. I mean, it makes enough money to cover itself, but more so because it provides a valuable service so that our agents don't have to think about it. They don't have to go out and find a third party photographer or videographer and spend $500 and $600 when they can get it at a much discounted rate by having it here. And we see it as a benefit. It covers its costs. It puts maybe a little bit of money in the pocket, but it's a tremendous, tremendous benefit that I really can't put a value on that. But our marketing team is phenomenal. What they work with agents day in, day out. We do all their database management. We do all their social media. We control that and help them with all of those posts. Our we have a graphics designer on staff that you can walk into her office with a white piece of paper that you doodled on, and say, "Hey, here's a concept that I have. Can you help me do something?" And her name happens to be Nikki, but we say she's so good, we turn her name into a verb. So you walk in there with a white piece of paper and she will nickify whatever you have. And so but that's more on the staff side. On our leadership side, um, uh, I'm fortunate enough to have, basically, we have a leadership team of about 4 or 5 people. It consists of myself. I have another partner, Christy Smith, who's not on the call today. I have a founding partner who is also on there. Her name is Betsy Duga. So we have 3 broker staff members, and then Joel Diaz, who I think you might be familiar with,
Oh,
and
bet.
just a little bit. And Joel was my very first hire. He was my part-time tech guy I hired him for. And I'll never forget, we interviewed Joel and I said, "Okay, well, I'm here to bring you on board. I need you 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and for part-time technology, helping our agents with computer problems." And Joel's wife was home pregnant with their second kid, and he literally turned down a full-time job to come here because during that time frame, I was telling him about my vision and what I foresee this becoming one day. And here we are, 19 years later. And uh,
Amazing. Okay, so I've heard that story, just so you know.
have you heard this one? Yeah,
Yes, I have, and I will tell
I'm
you
sure I
that
butchered it in comparison, but
no, well, it's a nice segue because one of the things Joel said was after I talked to David and he expressed this vision, there was no decision. He was very moved and he felt really good about aligning himself alongside a person with a vision. And you might be able to guess where I'm going with that, but I wonder where the vision is when we have this consolidative roll up happening. And, you know, there's a lot of people, I'll say agents, right, who got swept up and said, whoa, whoa,
Mhm.
whoa, I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up for that. That's not how I wanted to work in this business at all. Um, I'm curious, do you think that we could see a backlash 2, 3 years from now?
So tell me a little more when you say a backlash.
I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I want. And then we go full circle where independents start popping up because, and agents say, well, I'm going over here back to the independents because I don't want to be a part of this machine.
Well, let's just say this. I think for quite some time now, like the biggest two buzzwords in real estate was merger and acquisition, right?
Yeah.
That's been beaten into our heads for several years now. And now you're seeing it on a far grander scale. So I think there's always the initial knee jerk reaction as to how do you think this is going to unfold, right? I can tell you when I opened up an email from Remax with the announcement that came, thankfully, 6.5 minutes before our agents received it. Um, I would say that it was. I don't think my initial reaction was positive. Um, I think that we had a lot of plans and ideas, and I would say that those plans got put on pause for a little bit. And again, I never want to ever be, I'm a pretty, I like to, I'm a pretty wide picture thinker. I like to process and see how things goes. I try not to react to things. I don't think I could help it in comparison. I think everybody looked at it initially and was not happy. I think there was definitely concern amongst the group. I am going to be open enough, though, to see how this plays out over time. I'm planning on going to the broker owner convention here in a couple weeks. I'm very interested to hear when he's cornered with a lot of questions and answers, how he handles this. But I'd say, you know, whether it's Remax and Real, whether it's Compass and all of their acquisitions with Anywhere, at the end of the day, bigger isn't always better, right? Better is better. And whether it's independent, whether it's got a balloon or the sign's green or
Yep.
purple or red, better is better. And better starts with true leadership and with people that are willing to be in the trenches with you, that are willing to continue to be creative, that are willing to go in there and with two open ears and one mouth, right? And for a reason. And listening and hearing what your people need. And that's what's most important is are you in where you go and where you ultimately choose to do that, I guess it's going to have to align with, the value that you're getting. And I think brokers have to focus on value. And
Yep.
I don't know where this goes ultimately when brokers are really not in play and are not necessarily effective in being able to be out there in front of their people. When they're out there just kind of doing their thing and they don't have the guidance, they don't have the leadership, and they don't have the staff. I think that's problematic, and I don't think it's good for the industry.
I agree with you. And I'll add, uh, it's just like the old adage of, well, articulate your value,
Hmm.
right? That was really given to agents, I'd say like 2, 3 years ago, maybe. And I just wonder, no, I don't wonder. Here's where I feel very strong. You can disagree with me or not. It's more interesting actually if you disagree, but I have a feeling you're going to agree with me. I think people who can identify and articulate who they serve best at a very deep level, and I mean agents to consumers, and I mean brokers to agents. If you can identify and truly articulate who you actually serve and the kind of problems you solve, okay, now we're talking about what this business is really about. Or alternatively, this is just a numbers game. It is not about relationships. It is not about all the lip service given to home and the American dream. And these are two very different things to be treated transactionally um, or not. If you can identify who you're for, articulate it, and then provide what you said, the services inside of and I can't even say brokerage anymore. I mean, inside the office,
The
because
office.
every office under one Remax or
Assuming
Compass,
assuming there's an office, but
assuming there's even an office, to very good point.
yeah.
Like, would you agree with that's where we should start as an industry? If you're leading,
I
if
mean,
you're
we
on a leadership team,
well, I think ultimately, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think as an industry, we are losing touch with what's best for consumers, period. And
amen.
it all starts there, 100%. Everything trickles the other way at that point. We have absolutely are losing touch with what is best for consumers. We just had a massive punch in the face, 2 years ago. And yet we are still working in an industry where people want to kind of forget that that ever happened. I mean, the rules, all the things that happened as a result of this, in my opinion, were good, are good things. This is an industry that needs change. This is an
Agree.
industry that needs consolidation. This is an industry that if you want to do what's best for the people, you need to shrink the amount of realtors. This should not be a membership game. This should be about people who are really out there that are looking to make a difference in people's world. And I think we have very much lost track of that. I think that, you know, with the way things are happening with the privatizing of listings, I mean, don't even get me started on that and the rules
Oh,
that are
you can start. You can start.
and like
Go, my
what
friend.
like what's happening here with the rules of what we're being able to send out to syndication. I mean, to me, all we're doing is just trying to remove transparency from the entire process, which is the whole reason why the suit and everything happened is to increase the transparency of this business. We are losing touch with that. We're so worried about protecting ourselves instead of worrying about making ourselves better. If you make yourself better and you provide so much value to people, you will never have a problem in this business. You will never have a lack of clients in this business. I don't care if as long as you provide the most incredible experience, provide tremendous value with the total amount of transparency, because what creates the trust? What creates the bond to be able to build the value, and that is being completely transparent with the entire process. We are moving away from that.
It is very frustrating.
It's
It is
very,
very frustrating.
it's very for
It's very
but it's
frustrating.
greed, Sandy. It's all about greed. It's about brokerages wanting to be able to put more money in their pocket because it gets people to want to go there because of competitive advantages instead of the competitive advantage being the strength of the agent.
Yes, and yes, and this is a wild time of opportunity. And this is going full circle to when I mentioned backlash. I think a majority of, at least the agents that you and I probably know, are doing the right things for the right reasons, want to do the very best thing, want to follow whatever rules you
Mhm.
want to put in front of me. Great. Allow me to be a service to a consumer. And when you start putting up 7 statuses, um, rules where infrastructure has not even yet been built, you are putting up roadblocks that not only affect me or any other agent, but the consumer
Yeah.
who is trying just to get home in a low inventory environment in some cases.
Yeah.
This is now I say all that to say, in the times where I am most frustrated or I feel, disheartened, let's say, I also feel that those are the most opportunistic moments. If you're good and if you can see through it, it is a time of opportunity for some. I think some are just about collecting numbers and others are about getting better, to your point. So, what in my mind, I automatically go to training the agent that is 4 to 5 years in
Mhm.
and really doubling down on that training and really helping those agents take the next step, not just recruiting newbies. What do you think better is for us next? Maybe from the broker perspective or the leadership
From
perspective?
a brokerage perspective, what's better is, again, I go back to leadership, right? It because the culture of an office, the strength of an office, the strength of an agent, it starts at the top, it works its way down, and then it works its way back up. And without active engagement on a daily basis, I think that's ultimately problematic. Like if you look at, uh, actually, I always thought what was interesting is like if I look at KW's model, I always thought KW actually from the way they had market centers and allowing strong brokers within a specific market center to have a territory and to be able to expand within a territory that was marked for them and that was considered their market center. That that was why they grew with very, very strong agents throughout. I mean, yes, they had a different type of a system than the Remax did, but like for example, Remax got away from just employing strong brokers to own franchises. They just wanted to sell franchises after a certain period of time, and when they were seeing declining agent count, if someone wanted to open up a brokerage, that was fine. It didn't matter what the qualifications were. So I think ultimately you have to have and be able to keep strong leadership in place with people with experience that are willing to give back and to continue to keep inspiring and educating agents throughout. I think you just hit I think a pretty big nail on the head here with the agents who have been in the business, especially in the last 4 or 5 years. They have not had the opportunity to really see all of the different types of marketplaces that exist. And let's face it, we may be here in this marketplace and what we're experiencing up here in the Northeast as compared to certainly what some of the agents are seeing down in the South and in other areas where, the markets have returned back to maybe not a complete buyer's market, but in some cases a
Yep,
buyer's market, in a lot of places a very, very neutral market.
yep.
We're still sitting in a very strong seller's market here, and that's all agents have known. So, how do you teach and employ those agents who've been at it 4 or 5 years and they've made all their decisions on what real estate is like based on what they've experienced here in the Northeast in these last 4 or 5 years? And without having the experience, without having people that are willing to engage and educate, it's going to be a struggle as things continue to shift.
I'm hopeful, David, and, maybe 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 this is just wishful thinking, but I'm really hopeful that training, um, really upping the level of quality in the training is really what happens for the offices who have good retention, they have a good staff to agent ratio, they are truly able to do the kind of training that this job requires. This is not oh, well, in my opinion, this is not learning how to fill out a contract.
Mhm.
Good luck. No, no way. And every month, the market is different. Every month, you have to have a strategist rolling through your head and how you really serve a buyer and a seller in every kind of market. We could go on and on, but Those kinds of trainings take time. They aren't just smile and dial, and, I'm I'm feeling lately like, wow, is this the new real estate? Just smile and dial and just big numbers? I don't think that's what consumers want. What do you think?
Well, I think, I do see that in the world of consumers, I mean, clearly there is a mindset of expedience and efficiency that
Mhm.
you see in a lot of the buyers and the sellers in today's world. But that can't be a substitute or a replacement um, for thoroughness. And um, I do see. I think at the end of the day, you have agents that absolutely are not as committed and dedicated to the profession. And without that type of dedication, and and where it has to be is that it's not, in my opinion, this is not a transactional game that you move from one to the next, right? This has to be the mindset of the agent has to be relationship driven. And because when you have these people for that short time frame that you're interacting, you're transacting with these people, if you make it an amazing experience during that time frame, that 2 or 3 month, even if you post-settlement, you are horrible at post-settlement communications over time, which I know there's no agent out there that's bad at that. I'm sure everybody is constantly communicating with people after we close. But let's just assume that you don't. But if you are able to impact people and provide enough value in that short time frame that you have them just for that 2, 3-month transactional period, they will never forget you. They will call you 15 years later and 10 years later. They will remember your name. Um,
It's
I know
yeah,
that our what's that?
it's impactful,
It's
the
impactful,
moment.
for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, you're dealing with people at a very intimate time in their life, a very vulnerable time in their life, and, you absolutely make or break that. I know that our company, we spend a lot of time with training. We have multiple opportunities, during a week for people to be able to be in some kind of education environment. It was interesting because there was a statistic that came out through NAR that talked about top producing agents and how many days of the year they were in some kind of learning environment. Now, do you think these are the kind of people that, they're out there doing deals left and right? They don't even need to be in if there's anybody that doesn't need to be in an educational environment, it's these people. And yet they were still in some kind of a classroom opportunity, whether it's online learning, whether it's professional reading on their own, whether it's in a class that's provided by their academy or by their office. And they were in class 155 days of the year. They were doing some type of professional education. And that's tremendous. I mean, that's a tremendous, tremendous difference in comparison to what the average agent is probably doing. I know that we provide 2 opportunities a week for people to be in both small groups, larger groups. And then we also have once a month where we try to get the entire team together for an opportunity. But we try to take the training so that it's not, hey, this is a buyer agency contract. This is how you fill it out. We try to take it up to more of a master's level and I think that again, that also fits with the mind and the mold of the type of agent that we have, is try to bring them up in a more advanced educational programs.
It goes back to understanding who you serve, and
Yeah.
I think your leadership team seems to you don't necessarily, take on the new agent because you're really well equipped and your services and support and training really support what would you say, David, like a what's your average, like, post 5-year agent? You take on more tenured agents, maybe? Is that
I mean,
true?
I'd say our probably our bread and butter agent who comes to us and that we can really help is someone that's probably been in the business, I'd say 2 to 7 years, somewhere in that time frame.
Sure.
They've been doing anywhere from maybe 3 to 5 million in business, and we've had tremendous success in getting them doubled within a very short time frame. But
Do
that
you
seems
guys
to be
take
the
on
well,
sorry, do you have teams, like teamerages
we've
inside of your
we have very few teams, believe it or not.
Okay.
We do have teams, um, but overall, I'd say we have our teams are very, very small. The ones that we do have, they're 2-person, 3-person teams at the most.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
We
Yep.
probably maybe we have maybe 8 or 9 or 10 in the entire company
Yeah.
in our teams.
So, if there was an age okay, I have 2 closing questions
Yeah.
for you. 2 closing questions. One is for agents and one is for broker owners because you are one, and so you can probably if there was an agent, who wasn't happy where they are or they are brand new licensees, how might they what would be some green flags or red flags they might go to an interview at an office and they are looking for support or they're what are some green or red flags that either you listen for in an interview or that you would recommend they ask um, a broker? What kind of questions would that agent
Yeah.
be looking for or asking?
So I this is interesting, and Joel will tell you this, but I have shut down more interviews with agents when if the first question or within the first few minutes there's a discussion about money and splits, I pretty much end the meeting. And I have ended meetings very, very abruptly at times. Um, it's not about the money, especially if you're new. Okay. Accept the fact that it's going to cost you a little bit, but
Mhm.
but you have to, but if you're getting something for that cost, right? If you're getting your return on that value, then and that expense, it's okay to pay a little bit of money in the beginning to be set up with the right people, with the right programs, with the right training. So if I'm a new agent and I'm walking into an office, I want to know about how are you going to make me and help me become successful. I don't expect you to make me successful. That's up to me, right? The ultimate
Mhm.
ability partner is the one staring back at you in the mirror, but do you have the platform and the people and the resources to be able to support me to become successful? And if you don't have that, okay, then you should be walking out the door and looking at the next brokerage. Because I do think a good agent is a good agent, right? A good agent's a good agent no matter what sign they have. But if you can go and affiliate with somebody that really is a great brokerage, well, that just gives you the extra advantage every day of the week. It takes that good agent and makes them great.
Well, can I rephrase the right broker? Brokerages right now are so big, there's so many, it's
Yeah.
like, it's hard to look at one brand now and say, "Well, that brand's known
Well,
for X."
it's local.
It's
It,
local.
it's local. It's
It's local.
it's specific to your marketplace.
Yeah,
Remax, Remax here in Allentown, we might be considered this to people, but we might not be that to the Remax brand might not be that in your marketplace or somebody else, and vice versa. No, it's you have to go to the who is the local players, who,
that's right.
and it's not even it's also you know you walk into an office, you get a vibe, you get a feeling of
Totally.
what it's like. And culture is important. It's also how the people feel towards each other. I mean, we have a very, very open environment. People are always sharing, people are always collaborating. We never discuss production or volume. We don't recognize who's number one and who's number 12 and who's the top listing and top. Like, who gives a shit? No one cares about that stuff. Yeah, we do it
You
once.
said it. You said it, I didn't.
I did. I mean, who cares?
I
No
love
one
it. No, I
cares.
love it.
Don't care. The
I
people
love
don't
it.
we celebrate it once a year at our awards, and we think
Sure.
it's important to recognize that because, you know,
It's hard work. Look,
it's
I
hard work,
respect it.
and then we get
I
recognized
respect it.
for it, but when you
Yeah,
harp on it,
yeah,
I want an environment where people are free to collaborate, where people can walk to anybody for help, and
yeah.
again, we talked about it, right? Being around like-minded people, success breeds success. when you're walking in an office and you haven't had a closing in a month or 2 months, and you happen to be walking down the hall and you see somebody in the conference room closing on a property, and you see that person closing, sometimes that lights a little fire underneath you to want to
That's
do more,
that's
you know?
that's right, that's right. Alright, so that's the agent side of
Yeah.
it. If you're a broker owner, or, you're free to answer this however you wish, David. Is there something you're excited about or most fearful about? Or if you were talking to a colleague, a broker owner, is there something you might encourage them with or say, "Hey, heads up on this?" Anything you would like to say that helps? I think all of us are sort of reeling right now, sort of trying to look for the new foundation. What might you say to a broker owner out there?
I think more so than anything is we can all get caught up in the shiny technology buzz. And I think all that's great. And I think, as there's a quote that talks about AI and how it's in theory that it's the bicycle for the mind, right? You know, so can you go a lot faster on a bike as compared to walking? Absolutely. Will it help agents become better at their craft? Yes. But at the end of the day, I would tell brokers, whatever you're doing, I can kill technology all day long. I can kill Zillow all day long if I am out there and I am impacting in my community. And if I am strong in my community where people know me, we used to teach a class here called the Mayor Campaign. And the quest was, okay, here's your challenge. I'm going to take you, Sandy, and I'm going to place you in Muskegon, Iowa. You don't know anybody there. You don't have any family there. And in your mission at the end of 2 years is you have to be able to successfully run and become the mayor of that town. So how would you go about that? So if brokers want to make an impact with their agents, if they want their agents and help their agents become successful, their brokerage, their people, they have to be impacting the community. And all day long, those relationships that you create, the way you impact the community, the way you can help the community that serves you, um, those your people will be and continue to be successful. And it doesn't matter what shiny objects that they have, what resources we have. If people will come to me all day long and I can have a database on a Rolodex still, and I can still be as successful as anybody else using AI if everybody in that town knows and loves me.
David, we are in a people business, my friend,
Yes,
aren't
we are.
we?
Yes, we are. I think we're forgetting that, though.
If we just remember that, right? If
If
we
we
just
are losing a little more touch with that every day.
Well,
And
not you and I, we can get on a podcast and talk about how that, remind ourselves every week. David, thank you so much for your thoughtful thank you well, let me back up. Thank you for being a driver in the industry of what I believe is the most important thing, which is the people. So thank you for all that you do in the industry. Thank you for leading a great team of people. You have a wonderful leadership team, and even better office. If there's an agent who is looking for a home and you think you might be a fit, you should definitely see David and Co. David, thank you for being here.
appreciate it, Sandy. Thank you very much. We love all the things that you're doing. And
We
thanks.
try.
Thanks. Seriously. Thanks for all the help that you've been giving our agents as well. They really appreciate it. Yeah.
We try. We try. We will talk soon. Listeners, we will be back next week.